Okay, so I think we're live. I think we're good. Okay, cool. So, oh yeah, let me turn off the music. Hopefully that turned it off. All right, good. So if you can see me and hear me, let me know. But I see lots of people saying hi on Discord, so thanks for saying hi. It's good to see you all here, and good to see a few people in person, face-to-face today. I wanted to spend the first part of class today with a bit of some explanations and some advice. And then I will direct you to start working on your peer reviews, and then that will occupy some of your time today. So I want you to use this time for peer review if you can. So a few general kind of things to talk about, and then a few specific things related to some of your proposals, and then you'll have time to work on the peer review today. So hope everyone's doing well. Please continue to say hi if you haven't already, even if I don't acknowledge you. So yeah, hi everyone. Hi Crystal, Becca, Sally, Alex, DJ, Abby, Emily, Siobhan, Olivia, Brian, Ginger Snaps, Jules. Good to see you all online today. So the big thing that I want to make sure that you know about is the peer review. You probably, I guess, got a notification about this, and that's where I assigned each of you a set of peer reviews to complete, and these are just based on your squad. So if you're, in a channel with people that are on your squad, those are the people who I've assigned you to do a peer review for, and that's on purpose. That's my intention. So. The idea is that you should have 3 or 4 of those. Now, not everyone has submitted the assignment yet, and so if you see someone's name there and you can't click on it, that just means they haven't submitted it yet, and there are different reasons why people may have not submitted it yet. Don't assume anything about that. If you see one of your teammates they haven't submitted yet, don't assume that they're just blowing it off or whatever. Just be patient with them, and then once it is available, then you should be able to access it and complete the peer review then. Don't worry about completing the peer review on time, or don't rush them, basically, if that's the case. I am in communication with many people who are still working, and that is fine. So I can explain a little bit about the peer review, but I can't actually demonstrate it because I can't be one of you. But hopefully it's pretty easy to figure out when you're looking at it. So you would start by looking at the assignment page, which is this right here, the proposal page. I'm looking at it in faculty view right now, obviously, so I have a few different things. But once you click on someone's name, you should see their project come up in a window, and then that'll be kind of the main part of the page. And then on the left, there should be a place for you to leave comments, and then there should also be a button or a link that says something about a rubric. And this is the peer review rubric that I would like for you to use as you review someone's project. So you notice this isn't a grade. I mean, it's not really a rubric. It's just a set of questions. It's just the rubric is the terminology that Canvas uses for structured feedback, and so that's what this is. And so these are some things I'd like you to think about as you read it. And so project rationale, does it make sense in terms of its value? Is this a project that really needs to exist and that could actually benefit the world in some way? Does the proposal in describing its processes and its goals adequately assess the potential problems that they will need to solve? So in other words, this is the practical part of it. Does this actually have a reasonable plan? Are there any risks? And this one is important. There are a couple that I've seen just kind of skimming through in proposals that I'm going to have a conversation with you about, just because I see some potential risks. So check for this yourself as well. If you see something that you think might go badly in a way that could cause harm, then make sure you acknowledge that. And also, I don't know, I will probably notice too, but you might want to let me know too, just to make sure I can follow up on that and give somebody a better option. Then does the method seem appropriate? I think if you remember the project idea generator, again, many of those project ideas are going to be good ideas, but the method won't be a good fit for the idea. So this is where you need to ask that about someone's project. Is this the right way to approach this? If there's a better way, can you suggest a better way? And then finally, and this is kind of the more vague one, but does this seem like a big project? Does this seem like something that is a meaningful amount of work, that is a reasonable challenge, that the student doing it will have to really work hard to complete it and do it well? Or are there ways it could be expanded? Or are there ways that it's maybe too big and they should think about scaling it back in some way? And this is kind of hard to predict. Of course, you're trying to be optimistic in your proposal. So oftentimes students will take on too much, but there are some that also maybe you could see opportunities to expand it. And that's a good place to suggest that as well. So please complete these as soon as you can. And I'll give you some time in class to work on that. Those of you face-to-face, you can actually physically talk to each other. That would be good. If you're online, then what I would like you to do is complete this peer review in Canvas. It should send a notification to your reviewee as you do that. But also chat in Discord. You have a channel for your squad, so say, hey, I like your project, this was a cool idea, or hey, this is pretty interesting, but did you think about this? Right? As much as possible, try for a yes and kind of critique if you need to, where you could say, this is a good idea, what about this, and add something else to it. I think most of the time people don't give really negative feedback for each other, and in fact, it's usually the opposite. With peer review, students tend to be too nice because they want to be polite, and often that might mean that they avoid saying something that could be really helpful for the person they're reviewing. So please be honest if you see that there's a limitation or if you think there's a potential problem. Make sure you tell your peers so that they can decide what to do about that. If it's something that they don't know about, then they may not realize it until it's too late. So if you see something, go ahead and say it, but say it politely, and I think we'll all benefit. Okay, so I, of course, will also be giving you feedback on these, but you all will be able to give each other feedback much more quickly. So that would be great if you could do that. Especially if you can suggest other methods or other tools. I think at this point, since you are just beginning your projects essentially, there's still a lot of time to change your approach or think about a different tool for doing the approach that you're interested in. So if you can think of a way to do it, then that would be great. Along those lines, I think I've shared this a couple times, but this is the new DGSE101.net website I'm working on, and I have a big list of resources that are useful and referenced in some of the in the DGSE 101 modules on this website, and also a few others that I've added. So I'll share this in Discord again. I think I've shared it before, but I'll just do it now. And I see a couple questions. Let me get to you in a second. Here's a list of resources, links, and software that may be helpful. So just sharing that again just in case. And I have more actually that I've come across more recently that I'd like to talk about as well. But you can see in there's several different game things. There's several different interactive fiction things, a couple different, just general programming kind of things. It really depends. Some video things. So lots of potential resources there, and they have their pros and cons. Like none of these are a perfect tool for anything. So you should plan on evaluating a couple of different tools and until you find the one that you like and really want to work with. So let's see questions. So Brian asked, do you do the peer review through Canvas? Yes, please do it through Canvas, but also you can do it informally, or you can give your peers informal feedback in your Slack, your Discord channel. So tell them they're that way. And you find it on the assignment page. So you go to the proposal page, and on the right there should be a list of the people that you are assigned to peer review, and those should be the same people that are in your squad, which is squad dry, if I remember correctly. Okay, cool. So, the rubric is on there. It's displayed on the assignment page, but it also should be like a little thing you can pop up with like places to type your responses to each of those in the actual editor. I can't actually show you that, but that's the idea. Okay, so cool. Hi, Rachel. Okay, so if you have any questions, so Brian says, how do we access the report that the person made? I only see a picture. I don't know, that might be, so they should be showing, okay, so 2 reasons they may not show up. Well, 1 reason. The main reason they may not show up is they may not have submitted it yet. So if they haven't submitted it yet, you can't view it yet, you can't do a peer review yet. So you have to just wait for them to do that. I'd have to look into your specific groups and see if that's the case for your specific squads. But Brian, if you see a picture, I don't know what that would be. Like, what is it a picture of? like it should be like a file. Like it should be a place to either it should be the actual embedded document, like with text you can read, or it could be something to click on, like a URL. Yeah, so that might be the case if that's what you're seeing. So, yeah, and Siobhan, I can check probably. Actually, no, it'll take me a minute, Siobhan. So I can check in a little bit, Siobhan, to see if that's the case in yours, whether they have submitted or not. So let me talk about a few other things first, and then I'll check. All right, so let's talk about a few approaches that you might be taking. So just real quick, I've talked to, I think, most of you in here, what kind of thing are you making? Like, what's your medium or your artifact that you're making? Darlene, what are you making? I'm making a podcast. Podcast, cool, okay. Also a podcast, excellent. And Katya, what did you decide to do? Website? Okay, great. So I have some general advice for podcasts and websites. I don't have a specific method to show you, but I have a basic idea. So in terms of resources, you probably already figured this out or planned for this in your work, but Audacity is really the tool that many people use to edit audio, and it's free to download and relatively easy to use. At least I found it pretty easy to use as far as editing slices of audio. So my main advice for people that are interested in doing podcasts is make sure you listen to podcasts and actually try to think about the things that you like about podcasts and then try to emulate those. So pay attention to the editing in particular, like when do they use music in the background, when do they use transitional sounds, do they have a theme song? And I think for most student projects for 395, I recommend several shorter episodes as opposed to one long episode. So think about what you could do in a 10-minute podcast as opposed to an hour-long podcast. And a 10-minute podcast is going to be more likely people are more likely to listen to that. It's also going to give you more chances to practice your editing and your craft. And I think it tends to go better that way. So listen to shorter podcasts, basically, would be a way to think about that. MIT Technology Review has one that's pretty short. I can't remember what it's called. But also, Professor Colin Rafferty did one over the summer called Good Trouble. And most of those episodes are like between 10 and 20 minutes long. And so that would be a good example of how to do a shorter podcast. And so, and as you're thinking about your approach to these, I would even recommend listen to one you like, and as you listen to it, sort of take notes kind of beat by beat in terms of what they do, like how far in do they have their theme music, if they have theme music, how long do they let someone talk before the narrator voice comes back, and kind of almost write a script of it as you listen to it. And then that'll give you a sense of how to write a script for your own podcast. So that's just kind of general writing advice. That's not really a tool-specific advice. But I know many people are interested in Twine, and so I wanted to show you something a bit more advanced with Twine than what I've shown you so far, just to give you the kinds of things that that I would be looking for, hoping that you would try to work with if you want to do Twine. I also know a few of you were doing projects that to me sounded like apps, or at least you may have described them as apps, but in some cases it just sounded like an app. And so I wanted to show you an interesting approach that might help you make an app. And also, just in terms of video, I wanted to make sure you know about this tool. I can't actually demo the tool on this computer because I can't install it without admin privileges. But if you want to do video editing, and this is just general advice if you want to do video editing, I found Openshot pretty good. So Openshot is free, open source, cross-platform, so Windows, Mac, Linux. I have a Linux computer at home, so I had to find something like this to work with it. And it's pretty good. I was actually very pleased with it. Historically, Linux-based video editors have been terrible, but this one actually is decent. And when I say decent, it's not as slick as iMovie, but it's not far off, honestly. It's not far off from iMovie. I think in terms of its just basic workflow, it's a bit more similar to Premiere than iMovie, but I haven't really used Premiere, so I don't know. It has its quirks and its annoyances, just like anything, but it's so much better than nothing and so much better than it used to be. So if you're doing any kind of video and you need a tool, iMovie is pretty good. Final Cut Pro is better, but it's expensive. Openshot is pretty good too, and it's free. So I would recommend this, especially if you're on Windows, because Windows, like iMovie comes with Apple computers, but there's not an equivalent on a Windows computer. So yeah, Openshot's pretty good. All right, so just a general plug there for Openshot, I guess. Okay, so let me show you some things with Twine, because I know some of you are interested in games, and Twine is a good way to make a game, especially if you have people doing text, like if there's a text-based thing that you want people to interact with and learn from. And if you do that, there are a couple of ways that you can go beyond a simple Twine story where you just have links that people click on. And that's really, I think, what many of you are describing when you've talked about your project. You talk about a game or a simulation. And when you do that, you have to add some things into Twine that goes beyond the basic linking structure. And so I'm going to try to demo how to use some of it's not even the advanced features of this particular tool set, but it's a layer on top of Twine that I think can be pretty useful. Okay, so this is the Twine. Am I showing this the right way? Am I showing what I think I am? Okay, good. So just double checking. So this is the Twine editor. I've shown this before, and this is, I think, a really nice editor in terms of getting you from nothing to something. And because you can just click and start typing. Like you can just click anywhere, I think, and make a, well, I don't know. You can click on a passage and you can start editing. I've already written some things here. Let me rename this. Start. So I'll call that one. And something that often happens, and something that many of you have described in kind of plotting out your game idea, is that you want people to be able to simulate a day in the life of someone or go through a series of choices and see the consequences. And anything like that means that you've got to have some kind of memory built into the game or some kind of sense in which the content that you see has to do with things that happened earlier. And if you're doing it in kind of the old-fashioned hard-coded way with Twine, that can be that can become extremely complicated very quickly. And I'll show you why that might be the case. So in this case, this is how I have done it kind of the old-fashioned way. So let's describe, this is a basic game where I want the player to be able to choose a name for their character. They can choose the name Alex or Dawson in my first example here. And this is doing it just the straightforward linking way. So I put square brackets around Dawson and Alex, and that spawned a passage for each of them. And so you can see them here and here. And let's take a look at Alex. So I've now got a message that corresponds to that choice. It says, you have chosen the name Alex. And now we start with the plot of the story, which is, it is your first day of school. Now you notice I've already had to add a little bit of structure here. I've added a pipe because I made a passage called First Day Alex, and now that is here. So I can now say, welcome to school, Alex. Right? I've asked the players to choose their name, so I want to be able to use their name later on. And so to do that, I have a passage here that is unique to that choice of Alex. Okay, so if I wanted to do that for Dawson, I have to recreate that whole structure. I could have to say, you have chosen the name Dawson. Good choice. It is your first day of school. So it's the same passage, except with the name Dawson here now. And I want the story to continue. So I want to send them to the first day of school, but I can't send this link to the same passage that was Alex's first day of school. So I have to make a new one. And within Twine, I have to do that. I can do it with the pipe character. So like this is the text people will see, first day of school. And then I can do first day Dawson. And so that means that in the game's code, it's called First Day Dawson, but the user will see first day of school. So now we can play this and see how it looks. So, oops, I even broke it. So that's all right. Oh, this is debug mode, that's why. Okay, so let's say I choose Dawson. I chose the name Dawson, good choice. It is your first day of school. Here we go. And then this is where I could say, welcome to school, Dawson. So I hope you can see how this is progressing now, which is that I've got two branches of this story. I've got an Alex version and a Dawson version. They both go to the same school. I want them to experience a lot of the same things from different points of view. So I essentially have to create two parallel stories. Also, Dawson and Alex might make a series of choices. That's how you make these games meaningful, is by giving the player believable, meaningful choices. So every time I give a choice to my player character, whatever their name is, I essentially have to create two separate branches for each of those choices, but I have to create two sets of two branches for each of those choices because I have two different player character names. And you can see how this would actually increase the complexity geometrically. So after 3 or 4 significant choices, I've got hundreds of paths to keep track of, and it can be very overwhelming. I mean, just in terms of looking at it. Fortunately, there is an easier way, and I can show you that here. And I hope that with this simple demonstration, it's clear how this is valuable. It may not be because I don't have a ton of things overall here, but hopefully you can kind of project out to a more complex story and see how this might be beneficial. And I do have it here, where it starts off the same. So I'm going to say choose a player, choose a name for your character, except this time I'm setting a variable called player name. So this means I can reuse that variable later on. This is the same concept you hopefully remember from Python. You can set a name for something and then you don't have to remember what you set it as, just you can recall the name and then it'll show up again later. So I've set that here, and again, the passages are just Kevin and Glenda. These are the options that you can choose. But these passages look a little different. So here's Kevin. So here, instead of just saying you've chosen the name Kevin, I've got this little bit of code here that says set player name to Kevin. So in parallel to that, for Glenda, I have set set player name to Glinda. And this has a little bit of different syntax. You probably can see there I've got angle brackets, 2 angle brackets to mark off that this is a kind of macro code. And so now when I say the first day on the job, and this is their scenario instead of school, I can say instead of having 2 separate passages for each of my characters, Glinda and Kevin, I can just say, hi, player name, your boss says, welcome to the exciting world of guarding crosswalks. And when they play it, they should see that choice. So let's start over again, and let's choose Kevin. You've chosen the name Kevin. Good choice. It is your first day on the job. And again, this is debugging mode, so it's got a little bit of extra stuff on it. But first day on the job, and it says, hi, Kevin. Your boss says, welcome to the exciting world of crosswalks. So it's something that will save you a ton of time. And in fact, it would be very easy for me to create quite a few more options without adding a whole lot of passages. And again, that will save me a lot of time. So if you're interested in any kind of simulation game or any kind of thing where you want people to experience the consequences of their choices, this is really what you need to be doing in Twine. So here's how I did it in Twine. This is also, I didn't mention this yet, but this is the crucial thing that makes this possible. Is in the Twine editor, when you go to story here, you click story, you have to change the story format. And these are basically themes. They're kind of like WordPress themes. They add a different look and feel and also functionality. And so this is using SugarCube 2. Others are pretty good too, but they have different ways of doing coded things. I think Harlow has a little bit in it. Snowman doesn't have much at all in it. So Snowman is more of a blank canvas if you want to add your own CSS to make it look the way you want. But if you want sort of advanced game-like features, SugarCube is definitely the way to go. And thankfully, SugarCube has really extensive documentation. So if you are trying to get it to work or struggling with it or whatever, like, it's all here. I mean, these documentation, this is thorough and therefore kind of hard to navigate sometimes, but there's a ton of good information in here if you're trying to figure it out. And I can certainly help you try to navigate that if you need to. But basically, it's a coding language built into Twine. So check that out. It's based on JavaScript. So it is different from Python, but a lot of the same concepts are the same. It's just the way of expressing the concepts is slightly different because it's JavaScript. Things like conditions, loops, lists, things like that. They're all there conceptually. So that's some advice if you're working with Twine or considering Twine. There are other game formats and game engines that you could consider as well that kind of have some of that remembering ability built into it. If you're interested in text, Inform 7 is okay, but it's kind of hard to get started with Inform 7. Once you get started, it's okay, but it still is a much more difficult language. Inky is really good. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It's a different way of thinking. This is much more of a choose your own adventure kind of thing where you have text and then choices at the bottom. But Inky is very good. Also very lightweight, so it's pretty. You can write something pretty quickly with Inky. Playfic is just a web version of Inform 7. But there are others, and it's always good to experiment with them. Okay, cool. So I had one other bit of advice before letting you work on your peer reviews, which is, where did it go? Yeah, some of you are interested in apps, or you described things like a map people could use. And I think an app would be a good way to give people a chance to use a map. The tricky thing, though, is apps are pretty hard to code on your own. There are a few tools that are possible, though, that you could use to make an app. I have not, I should say, just as a disclaimer, I have not actually tried this tool all the way from beginning to end. But according to its tagline here, you can make an app in 5 minutes for free, which is a pretty good offer, I think. So let's see how it looks. It is somehow hooked into Google Spreadsheets, and I don't totally understand the relationship there, but it has this idea of templates, and you can create them here. I'm just searching for templates, and I would definitely recommend starting with a template and tweaking it as opposed to trying to start from scratch, but I imagine you could do both. Let's try this one. It lets you preview it in their little editor thing, and so you can see what it would look like, and then kind of try it out. So I don't know, looks pretty good actually. I'm pretty impressed with the way it packages up this information. The template, let's see if I can open it so I can show you what it looks like. I'm gonna try to copy this one. Let's see if it'll work. So I believe what it's doing is it's creating a spreadsheet in my Google Drive, and then with this template, and then it's pulling that data back in here. And yeah, this looks like the kind of thing where it probably gives you a pretty decent set of things for free, and then it invites you to upgrade, right, and to get the fancier stuff. But I mean, I think the free stuff looks pretty decent. So yeah, I mean, you can try different things, I guess, here. I don't really know what all your options are, but that's pretty cool. And then somehow, I'm trying to remember how I did get to the spreadsheet somehow. Data? Tasks? Okay, yeah, here we go. So this is the spreadsheet that would go into it. So once you've got your template set up, you could add data to it by editing the spreadsheet. I think that's the idea. And it's a spreadsheet. There are, I'm pretty sure that you would have to follow their naming schema pretty closely. Like the names of all these columns here probably need to stay the same. But if you have things to add, you could add them, pretty easily, I guess. I don't know. So it's something to try. Again, I haven't done this myself yet, but I heard about this tool recently. It seems pretty user-friendly, so I would certainly be interested to hear if any of you try it out and have some experiences to share. That would be great. I would certainly recommend, if you're thinking about an app at all, try it out and see how it goes. If it doesn't end up giving you the features you need, that could be an interesting opportunity to try something else. But I would say start with this and see how well it works. And if it works well, then great. If not, then you can go from there. But you would at least have had that experience of trying it out here first, and that is a pretty low barrier for entry. So yeah, try that out. All right, cool. So that was all I had to share and talk to you about on the stream. So I want to give you the rest of the time, if you can. Like, so many of you are online right now, many of you are here face to face. I want to give you some time to actually look at each other's projects and give each other that feedback. You can do that, obviously, if you're face to face, you can do that in person, or through the Discord channel. But either way, you should complete that feedback, the peer review feedback in Canvas. I will see that also. I'm not grading your feedback. I just want you to do it so that it's helpful for your peers. But it should be helpful. Again, remember to be constructively critical so that you're actually giving your peers some good advice that they can that they can use to improve their project. Be polite, but don't let politeness keep you from saying something that needs to be said, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. So go ahead and get started on that. If you have any questions about a specific idea you had for your proposal or something you weren't sure about, then go ahead and ask. I'll leave the stream running, and in case somebody has a question, but I will otherwise kind of hang out with you all and see what you're doing here. And I wanted to see. And Siobhan had a question about submissions, and Olivia might as well. So I'm going to check on your submissions, on your squad submissions, and see if you're just waiting for people. Actually, it would be quicker if I go this way. So Siobhan, you should have one in your group. You should have Emily's in your group. So maybe that's shown up recently. So if you still can't see it, let me know. But it looks like you should have at least one to do. Yeah. Yeah, you should have one at least. see, maybe 2 even. It's kind of hard for me to see. Yeah, so you just have 1, it looks like. So, okay, cool, thank you. Yeah, thanks for confirming, Siobhan. So you do have 1 more, so yeah, that's someone who I know is working on it, so you might just need to wait a bit. I don't know if you'll get notified when they submit it, but check back again Friday if you haven't heard either way, and hopefully they will have it by then. And okay, so Olivia, let me check on yours. I think you have, yeah, Olivia, you should have 1, at least. Let's see. Yeah, you should have 2, at least. Let me see else. Yeah, so I think it's probably just those 2 at this point. Yeah, for the no submission one, Olivia, just wait until it's submitted, and it should be soon. Like, I'm in communication with that person, so hopefully by the end of the week. But if you don't see it, you're not obligated to do it. But definitely do the ones you do have. And I think every squad has at least 1 submission, so I think everybody should have something they can do, hopefully. All right, cool. All right, great. So I'm going to keep the stream running just in case anyone has a question that I feel like would be appropriate to answer on the stream, but I'm going to take my mic off and kind of walk around among the people here and see how they're doing. And but if you have questions, of course, let me know. And don't forget to use your Discord channel to give each other just general informal feedback. And also don't forget to check in with each other, just kind of like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you for a while. Some people still haven't really checked in with their Discord cohorts yet, so make sure you reach out if you haven't heard from somebody. And yeah, and hopefully we can get everybody caught up. All right, cool. So I'm gonna take the mic off. I'll put the music back on. Is it still going? No. Looks like it's. Did the music stop? Okay, so I put the music back on in case you want to listen to something, but I'll take my mic off and walk around, and if you have any questions or things, hopefully I will see them in Discord. I want to see how these are doing. Okay, so if you're still watching the stream, this is, we're at the transition point, so we're done with section 1. We're wrapping up here, and I've given the people here some feedback on their projects there, and hopefully you've been able to give each other some feedback on your project in Discord, of course through Canvas. If you still need to do that, that's okay. Try to do it by Friday if you can, if you have other reviews to do, because we're going to continue looking at them on Friday, but continuing to kind of give each other feedback and ideas. So if you can get them done by Friday, that would be great. If you are still working on your project proposal, some of you have asked about extensions, and I've said that's okay, but the sooner the better. Today ideally, because other people are waiting to give you feedback, and so they need to see your project. Right, so yeah, I think that's all for this stream. I think maybe I'll just keep the stream running because it doesn't matter. And I'll be back to introduce and share some of the same ideas for the 250 group, so I will do that as well. But if you are in the section 1, the 140 group, then that's the end of our time for today. So I'll see the rest of you at 2:50 in about 15 minutes. Turn the music back on. So for today, we're doing review, so I'll talk a little bit about that, but then I want to do some general advice on people that are doing things, including people who might be helping out. So I haven't used this tool, so I can't totally vouch for it, but it's called Glide. It's glideapp.com, so it's free, so that's a good reason to try it out. It looks like it's a free. It's mostly free, but then like if you want certain features, you have to upgrade your features. But I think the free version, the free stuff is decent. Yeah, go ahead actually. I think that section is good. It's really good. Okay, looks like it's still using this microphone. It's kind of loud. Maybe I'll take it back down. Well, I'm hearing the output from my. This is loud. I'm hearing the output from the computer, so it's louder than it is on the stream. I hope. I mean, I hope the stream isn't that loud. Background music. Anyway, so we'll get started shortly. 10 minutes or so. Anybody come get away? Hey. Probably. What did you? I got a lot of emails. So was
I'm
it?
so sorry.
No. If I didn't answer your question, you might need to. Oh, you just recently. Yeah. Yeah. You can have. Yeah. About. Yes, you can have a little bit more time.
Okay.
But the sooner the better, because as you see, we're trying to do peer review feedback. So someone's waiting to give you feedback. So we want to make sure that you get that to them as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Do I need to know that?
No, it'll show up in Canvas, so that should be fine. This is interesting. All right, so hi everyone. So I'll get started here in a moment. Just trying to troubleshoot this process that I'm about to talk to you about in here, so that I can make sure I give you advice that makes sense and actually works. So, hello. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get going with the stream here, and it's just at least about the first half of the time probably. I wanted to explain the peer review process, make sure everyone knows what's going on with that. So I will be explaining it to you all, but also to whoever's watching online. I've got about 5 viewers online, so I'll explain it to them at the same time, and also give some advice that's general for several of the project types that I'm seeing. Just to give you things to think about and possible tools that you might not have considered or that just you might want to try. So let me switch on the stream and I will go through there. But a lot of time, so that'll take about the first half, and then the second half will be just kind of free-form interaction and peer review on your projects. I am asking you all to peer review each other's projects, so you can use the time today to do that if you need to. But I will explain all that on the stream. So let me get started. Oh, my microphone has been on this whole time. Okay, that's fine. So let me switch over to the appropriate scene. That should work. So hello, whoever's watching on the stream. Good to see you. I'm starting over. I did a 140 stream, and this is the 250 stream for section 2. So hopefully some people are out there. Yeah, the viewer count is going up, so that's good. If you don't mind, if you're watching, say hi in the Discord channel, the live stream chat channel, so that I can see who's out there. Looks like, yeah, Jesse, Waffle King Jr., Amber, Wayne, I see you typing too, so good to see you all online. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first part this time to talk about the peer review, and then I'm going to take the next part to give you some specific advice about some tools that you may be interested in using, and then I'll give you the rest of the time to actually work on the peer reviews and talk about things. So yeah, good to see you, Maddie and Andy, online. Lots of things coming together. Cool, good. Okay, so this is, the proposal is due today or now. Some of you may still be working on it, and that's okay. Some of you have asked about an extension, and that's okay. But this is the first major step towards this project. So the sooner you can complete it, the better, because you can start working on it. And also, you can get feedback on it. And that feedback can be really important, especially at this stage, where you're still trying to figure things out and decide on the best approach. You might still be thinking about different tools or trying out different things, and you want to get that feedback so you can get started on them pretty quickly. And then this project pretty much occupies the rest of the semester. So it's something that we need to really dedicate our time to starting today. All right, so let me talk about, first of all, the peer review process. Where is it? So you should have gotten a notification, like an email or whatever method you have notification set up for in Canvas. Maybe it's a push notification, I don't know. But it should be telling you that you have some peer reviews to complete. So when you access the assignment page, so this is the assignment page for the proposal, you should see on the right, it should say assigned peer reviews or something like that, and you should see some names there, 2 or 3 names. And those are the names of people in your squads. So I use the same squad structure they're groups in Canvas, but they're also channels in Discord. And this is the same group of people that you will be continuing to interact with about your projects as you develop it and as you make progress on it. So at this point, you're giving each other feedback on each other's projects. So that's the idea. So these peer reviews are meant to be structured, but not necessarily super formal. It's just a chance for you to give feedback on what you see as the potential strengths and potential risks or challenges for the people completing that project. So I was just discussing with a couple of people in one of the other squads, the other section squads, trying to figure out what it actually looks like to you in Canvas. And awkwardly, I can't simulate that, so I can't actually see it as through my login to Canvas. So I can look over your shoulder if you don't mind, but like this is what it looks like to me, and I think it looks similar to you, but there may also be a separate comment area. I would like for you to structure your response using or answering these questions here if possible. So you can either do it like if there is a workspace under each of these questions, you can put your answers there, or if you would prefer to use the comment field, that's okay too. It looks totally different to me because when I grade things, I have this whole interface where I have a question and then I have a place to fill in the answer, and it's pretty quick and easy, but it looks like it's a little bit more complicated for you when you all are doing something similar. I think it's because there's this tool called the speed grader, which is like this other way of viewing Canvas, and I think you probably don't have access to that, so that's probably the thing that's missing there. In any case, this is not really a rubric. It's not like you're not grading this project. This is just a way to give structured feedback, and so that's what I'm intending here. So there's no numbers, there's no like ABC on this. It's just try to answer these questions the best you can. These questions are meant to kind of develop off each other. So where I have like several questions, you don't have to answer all of them individually, but these are the kinds of things I mean when I ask you to think about the project rationale. So does this seem like a project worth doing? Like, does it seem like it actually adds value? Is it a good thing to do? Will the world be better off if this project exists? That's another way to think of it. So yeah, that's the degree of value may vary, but that's the main thing. We want to make sure that this is something that actually is important and that is worthwhile. Okay, so problems to solve. What I mean by this is like, is the proposal adequately and honestly assessing the challenges? Like, has it taken a reasonable approach to evaluating the risks of failure? In other words, like, are there other problems that this person maybe hasn't anticipated that you know of? And this would be really important to tell them right now. So if there is something like that, maybe you've done a similar project and you ran into this problem, make sure you tell them. This could be very important, so please do. Similarly, and this is very important, if you see any risk of potential harm from this project, you should definitely tell them. And you should probably tell me too, actually, because I saw a few coming in as I was kind of skimming them that I am definitely going to be having a conversation with the proposer just to shift their direction a little bit because I see some potential risks. It's none of you here now, but yeah, some of you I am going to have a conversation with, maybe if you're watching on the stream. But if there is something that I don't notice that you notice that is or raises a flag for you, then definitely let me know so I can follow up on that. And in that case, in any case, really, I am going to take a yes and sort of approach, and I encourage you to do the same thing as well. In other words, this is the yes and from improv theater, where you take someone's idea and then you, instead of saying no, that's a bad idea, you take their idea and you transform it into a better idea. And so that's a way to give that feedback. So it's like, it's not going to be like, hey, this is terrible, don't do it. It's going to be like, that's a good idea, let's think about it this way, and what if we did this instead, or in addition to what you have in mind. So that's the kind of thing that I would do even in the risk scenario. But there are a couple cases where I may have to say just no, but I haven't seen anything like that yet. Just some things that I might redirect a little bit. Okay, so then the method, does it seem appropriate for the message? So remember the big idea, the big project idea generator, and it gives you topics and then ways to address that topic. And many of those are not going to be great. Many of the ways of addressing that topic are not going to be very good just because they're random. So this is the kind of thing you need to think about with the project that you're reviewing. Is it actually the right way to address this problem or answer this question? Or could there be a better way? And if you can think of a better way, you should probably tell the proposer so that they have that to consider. And finally, this one's kind of vague, but do your best with it. Does the project seem like a meaningful challenge? Like, does it seem like a big project? Does it seem like something that is going to be a good use of basically the rest of the semester? If it's something that seems like could be done very quickly, maybe suggest some things that could be added to it. If it seems like something that's going to take years to complete, then maybe suggest some ways to dial the scope back a bit. And this is hard to assess in some cases if you don't, because you haven't done the project yet, so you don't know necessarily what you're going to find or encounter. But again, do your best. If you have any sense at all of how long this might take someone to do, give them feedback on if you think that's either too little or too much. And of course, that can be sort of subjective, but do your best with that. Okay, so have you all that are here now, have you found your peer reviews? Can you see them on the right? Okay, so it's on the assignment page, like the proposal page itself? Yeah, no. Sorry, it's, find the proposal, yeah, that one. And then over on the right, yeah. So you should have two. Everybody should have 2 or 3. So check those there. Now you may find that someone hasn't submitted theirs yet, so when you click on it, you may see just a blank page, and that's okay. Some people are still working, but you should. I think everybody has at least one that's been submitted by now. So, no, Jamie, you don't. Oh, okay. Well, have you submitted yours yet? Yeah. Okay, so they'll have yours to review whenever they do theirs. I'm trying to remember who else is in you. I can also check them here just in case there's a question. So yeah, I know they're both working on theirs. They're both on the stream, watching the stream right now. So I'm sure that they'll get it in. Right, Andy? Right, Jonah? Okay. Oh, right, you two are in the same squad, right? Okay, cool. So So within whatever method you need to do in Canvas, either there's the rubric comment fields or like the just generic comment field. Please use one or yeah, either one of those. You don't have to do both, but either one of those. At the same time, also give each other informal feedback either in the Discord channel or just in person if you're here face to face. You can just say, hey, I really like this, or hey, this is interesting, but did you think about something else? Again, I want you to be constructively critical, right? I want you to be able to say, like, if you see a weakness, I want you to be able to say it. So please do that if you need to. If you see an issue, the person creating this proposal will be better off if you tell them about it. So there is a tendency in any kind of peer review for people to be polite and shy and just to kind of say everything's fine. And that isn't always the case. It isn't always the case that everything's fine. So if you see an issue, try to come up with a recommendation. Like, even if you really like it, see if there's something you can recommend for the person to consider. All right. And that's true of both the informal conversation in Discord or face-to-face, or even in the slightly more formal feedback through Canvas. All right, so I wanted to give you all, just looking at the general range of things people are doing, I noticed some things coming up a few times that I think are good ideas, but I wanted to give you some ways to think about it a bit more, so just some kind of guided instruction. For the most part, these projects are meant to be self-directed in a lot of ways, and I'll give you, I'll show you how to do that and how to figure things out. But sometimes if I know something, I don't mind telling you about it and showing it to you, and that's what I wanted to do today. A couple of things that could be helpful for many of your projects. So just kind of quick, I'm trying to remember, I've talked to, I think, all of you all that are here right now, or I have a sense of what you're doing, but there's a lot of projects in my brain. So are any of you doing like a game kind of thing? Simulation kind of thing? Yeah, Twine. Anybody interested in Twine? Twine, okay, so one, that's good. I have something to show you in Twine. And then James is doing an app. Anyone else doing app kind of things or interested in app kind of things? Okay, anybody interested in video? A little bit, okay. Yeah, so in Cassie, you're doing Photoshop kind of things. Jillian, what are you doing? Mapping. Okay, yeah. Well, you might actually, there might be an app way to do yours as well, actually, if I remember your idea. But I have another idea too for yours. So, but then the thing I'm going to show you might be useful. Okay. Emily, I'm drawing a blank on what you're doing.
Right now, I said the storyline thing, but
oh, right, yeah.
You said like a better way.
Yeah.
So like, because my topic you can kind of do like anything with it, but
right, you could.
Stuck to that for the proposal, and I'll see what other people.
Yeah, I think you would probably benefit from multiple tools together, and storyline is that that one I think would be good as alongside of some other things probably, but that's yeah. Right. Yeah, I think ultimately a website would be a good way to combine those different things. So you could have that storyline thing embedded, and maybe timeline.js embedded, and then just sort of narrative, and then video, and like you can put it all together. So like that could be something where you find, and also like this, like the basic gist of what you're doing is like a digital storytelling or digital journalism. And so if you look around the world of people doing digital journalism, that's what they tend to do. Like it'll be an article with like prose text, but there's like an interactive graphic, and then there's like a link to an audio version of it, and there's like all that stuff in one page. So that's kind of what I would steer you towards, which could evolve certainly as you do it. So, and also, I mean, well, I have some more follow-up questions for you, but we can talk about that in a little bit. So I know some of you watching are interested in Twine or simulation kind of things or game kind of things. So I wanted to show you some things you can do with Twine that you may not have seen before and might be helpful in your project. And also want to talk a little bit about video and also about apps if you're interested in making an app. So first of all, let me show you the video thing because there's actually, I can't really show it to you. So I can just tell you about it, this is a tool called Openshot, and I've been very happy with it. It is a open source video editor. It uses a timeline kind of editing like Imovie or Adobe Premiere and many others. It is free, and it works on any of these three major platforms. It is Linux-based originally, which is unusual among this kind of tool. In fact, so my home computer is a Linux computer, so I have to use something like this. And historically, video editors on Linux have been terrible. But this one's pretty good. Like it's what I use to make the videos when I do like a pre-recorded video for class. And it's actually pretty good. It has its quirks and annoyances, like anything. But ultimately, like it's free, and there's pretty good tutorials on YouTube if you get stuck with something. and there's even some decent plugins you can get for it. So if you're doing video and you're not sure what to do video with, Openshot is pretty good. If you have a Mac, you probably have Imovie on there. Imovie is pretty good as well. This is a little bit more robust than Imovie. It's not quite as robust as Final Cut or Adobe Premiere, but it's pretty good. Especially if you're on Windows, you probably don't have a really good option without paying for it, unless you do something like Openshot. And Openshot is free, works on Windows, so I recommend it. If you're looking for a general purpose video editor, you can do timelines and transitions and title screens and chroma key filtering stuff. Like you can do pretty much anything you can do in iMovie, you could do in Openshot, and probably more. So yeah, check that out. Okay, great. So let me switch off studio mode actually. So you don't need to see my headphones over there. I don't know why I had that up still. This is like, if I need to scribble something, I could put something in that little window, but I've never really actually used that. So anyway, let's see. I'll go back to the browser. So Openshot, I recommend it. Now, if you were interested in doing an app, I have not used this tool, but I have heard of it, and just playing around with it, it seems pretty interesting. So it's called Glide, and it's at glideapps.com. And you log in with your Google account, because what you do with it is the data for your app is all stored in a Google spreadsheet. And then they somehow provide the interface for it. And I haven't actually gotten to that yet, but as you can see, they say it takes 5 minutes. So I don't know if that's true. I haven't timed it. I haven't actually gotten all the way to the end here, but it does say you can create an app from a Google Sheet in 5 minutes for free. So that's pretty good. When you log in, you get to choose an app, and you can choose, or you can create an app from a template. I would definitely recommend creating an app from a template instead of creating it from scratch, because you have to follow their structure for how the spreadsheet looks. So let's see what we've got. Mobile restaurant? What is a mobile restaurant? Like a food truck? I don't know. Meal plan, podcast. Let's just see. I've tried a couple of these. I'm just seeing what else there is. Cleaning checklist? That sounds boring. Medical practice. Local food. Sports teams. A little help. I don't know. Let's find out. So you can preview the template, which of course is a good idea. A little help template. Let us know where you need help or where you can help. Oh, okay. I guess I still don't get it, but well, let's see what happens if repair. Oh, okay. So it's like, I guess you're somehow asking for help? I don't know where that help request goes, but maybe that's part of the app, and I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's copy it and see if we can look under the hood and see what's going on. It takes a minute to copy. I think what it does is it has to download it, install it, download the template, put it in your sheets, and then bring it back here. And then, yeah, okay, looks like we can just edit it right here. So yeah, so you can actually edit it right here in this little thing. That's pretty cool. You can also get to the spreadsheet, and I did it before, and I don't remember how I did that. Oh yeah, edit sheet. That makes sense. So this is, yeah, I don't totally know what's going on here, but this is the back end of the app. So you could also edit it directly here, I imagine. So yeah, pretty cool. Oh, good. Okay, it looks like nice. I guess this is probably what happens if you need help with your plumbing. Then it goes to Mary. If you need help with, right? So you can kind of put it into different categories, but different requests for each category, maybe. I don't know. I kind of get the idea. So but hopefully you can get the idea too that it's a matter of structuring the data and following whatever the template is. Like I'm pretty sure, I bet if I edit these fields, it would probably break something like task. Like that might not, that might mess something up here. I don't know. It may not too. I don't know. But it's something that you would, of course, need to play around with. What does I do? Oh, yeah, that's pretty neat. And ultimately, I don't know how this ends up getting published, but it does seem possible. It says it only takes 5 minutes. So I would definitely recommend starting with this if you're thinking of an app, just because if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work or if it gets you close enough, then then you would know what else you needed, and there might be another way to do what else you need if this doesn't do what you need. So yeah, check it out. And let me know how it goes, because I've never used it before, so I'm curious to see. Okay, good. So I'm going to actually close a bunch of tabs because I have too many to see what they have in them. So this is Twine, and I want to give you some advice if you're interested in Twine. Twine is a text-based game format or hypertext format. Many people are interested in making games, or they've talked about creating some kind of proposal, some kind of project that lets someone simulate what it's like to go through a day in a certain situation or from a certain point of view, or there's different things that you have in mind. But whenever you want to use Twine to do something like that, where there's a choice and then some consequences, and the consequences aren't clear until much later, and that's a very familiar design pattern. That's a good design pattern for any kind of simulation or any kind of thing where you want people to appreciate a different point of view. It can be pretty tricky in Twine if you're just doing it by linking structures. So I've already done this a little bit. I could start over again, but maybe I can just describe what I have here and show you what's going on. So if you recall, hopefully Twine is a format that's pretty easy to go from nothing to something, and that's what I think is great about Twine. But to make it do those rich things that you might have seen in other games, it does take some work and some know-how. And so I wanted to show you two different ways to do something. One which will be extremely difficult, and one which will save you a lot of time. So I'll show you the difficult way first, which is the kind of natural Twine way of doing it. And then I'll show you how to do it differently with something called Sugar Cube. So actually, before I do that, let me show you where Sugar Cube is. Whenever you're editing a Twine story, this is the place where you can choose different things about it. And changing the story format is kind of like changing the theme on WordPress, where you get a different look and feel and you get different options. And these are all pretty good for different purposes. So Harlow is the default one. There's different versions of it. Snowman is kind of a blank canvas if you want to write your own code for it, your own JavaScript and HTML, CSS kind of stuff. So that's good if that's what you want to do. Sugar Cube is almost like adding a game engine layer to Twine. It does quite a lot. And the documentation is thorough and robust. So there's a lot of stuff here. And honestly, you could spend a lot of time reading this. It's just, I would recommend just actually waiting until you have a problem you need to solve and before you go into it, because it is very thorough. So switching this will change the look of it, and I can test it out here. Yeah, good. So this is the story that I have so far, and if you hopefully remember, the basic way you use Twine is you write some text and you put square brackets around some text, and when you do that, it creates a passage, and that passage is over here. That I can get to that passage by clicking on that text in the actual playable version of it. So this is the version a player would see, right? So they click square brackets and they go to that passage which has nothing in it, or they go to that one which also has nothing in it. So that's the basic way you create content in Twine. Now let's say we have a game where we want the player to be able to choose their name. And I just gave them two options here, Alex and Dawson. And let's say you choose Dawson. I want them to be able to say, you have chosen the name Dawson. Good choice. It's your first day of school. And so let's go to our first day of school, and you can have it say, welcome to school, Dawson. This isn't a very good school because they've misspelled the word welcome. I just noticed. That was my fault. But that's OK. And so to do this, hopefully you can see the structure here. So I had Alex is a passage, Dawson is a passage, and they're here. Here's Dawson's passage. Here's Alex's passage. And for each of them, they have a first day of school that says, welcome to school, Alex, for Alex's first day of school, and welcome to school, Dawson, for Dawson's first day of school. But what's awkward about this, and you can maybe notice it, is that the title of these passages is this awkward thing called First Day Dawson and First Day Alex. And that's because I have to make two separate passages for each of their first days. Right? So after choosing the Dawson passage, then the next first day of school passage has to be specific to Dawson. And to do that within the syntax here, this pipe character lets me say this is the part I want people to see first day of school, and this is actually the name for the passage I want them to go to. Because sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's a different thing. And that lets you do that with the pipe, and you have to keep track of it that way. Right? So then we would kind of go from there. But let's say we want them to make other choices. Like the whole point of my game is that I want to understand how choices have consequences later on. So let's say they have to choose what they're going to eat for lunch. Right? Then I'd have to make, are they going to have regular milk or chocolate milk? Right? So let's see, I'd have to make a choice here. Will you have chocolate milk or regular milk? for lunch. Right, so I would have to make a chocolate milk passage by adding the square brackets. So, and there they go. Alex has the same choices. You have chocolate.
Is there no way to connect, you have to make two separate paths if you choose a different name no matter what?
No, actually check what's going to happen here. This is, they can connect to the passage that's already been created. What do they call it? Regular milk? Yeah, so when you start typing, it'll autocomplete with existing passage names, so you can select it like that. All right, so you see it like it connects to the regular milk or the chocolate milk passage, right? But that's fine for now. But let's say later on in the day they're going to have if they chose the chocolate milk, they're going to have a sugar crash. I would need to know which one they chose, and so I would have to make this a separate chocolate milk choice for Dawson and a chocolate milk choice for Alex. So essentially, I would need 4 passages here at this level. And so it basically increases exponentially with every choice you create. So either you have a super complicated Twine story or you have not very many choices. And I mean, that could still be interesting depending on your writing, but I think most people want to have lots of flexibility or make it appear like it adapts to your choices. So thankfully, there is a way to do this. And so let me show you a better way to do it, and that's over here. So over here, I've done the same starting point. You can choose a name for Kevin. You can choose a name for your character, and I've got Kevin or Glenda here. And this part is the same. It just goes straight to their respective passages. And let's take a look at Kevin first. It looks pretty much the same, except they're going on their first day of a job instead of to school. But the extra bit here I've added is a bit of code, and it uses these angle brackets to say that I'm doing some macro code here, and I'm telling it to set this player name value to Kevin. And so this is similar to like if we were writing Python, like we would, I mean this isn't Python obviously, but we could write, so this is if we wanted to write a variable called player name equals Kevin in Python. That's what we're doing the same thing here, but this is the way you would structure. This is the syntax for sugar cube. With the $ there, and so now I'm actually setting that, and so now Twine will actually remember that choice, that I've chosen that. It makes this choice because I arrived at this passage. So by clicking on Kevin from this start passage, I got here and it set that value. If I clicked on Glenda, it would set the player name to Glenda, and then from then on, anytime I want to refer to the player, I just have to say player name. I just have to use the player name variable, and it knows what that is, and it will just report that. So that means the next one, instead of having 2 separate passages for their first day on the job, I can say, hi, player name. Your boss says, welcome to the exciting world of guarding crosswalks. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, and it's gone into debug mode, and I don't know. I'd rather it not be in debug mode, but OK, that looks like I turned it off. So let's choose Glenda. So if you go to Glenda, you've chosen the name Glenda. OK, it's your first day on the job as a crossing guard. Hi, Glenda, your boss says, welcome to the exciting world of guarding crosswalks. And really, I could actually probably do that in even less steps, but that's now a lot fewer than the potentially infinite number of branching passages that I would need to create. So this is a really simple way to use a variable. There are more complex ways you could do it, like you could set things randomly. You could also have values that go up or down based on choices. So instead of saying set this to that, you could say subtract 3 from their sugar level or whatever it is that you're tracking, or increase their combat power, or whatever thing you're trying to create here. You can make those variables in Twine if you use the sugar cube format. So remember to use the sugar cube format. Also, just generic advice if you're using Twine. General advice, even if you're not trying to do something complicated, probably the first thing you should do is instead of doing it the way I'm doing it, you should actually download Twine. And this can be a big headache for some people, or it has been. But when you go to twinery.org, I think some people are misled into thinking that they are creating their game on the cloud or on the website, but you're actually not. So when you say use it online, it's a bit of a misnomer. You're not actually using it online at all. You're actually using it in your browser's temporary memory. So if you clear your cache on your browser, or like let's say you're doing this on a public computer, like on campus, that game will go away. Like it'll just get deleted. So the way to avoid that is to download Twine. So when you download it, it actually is saved on your computer, and that's a much more reliable way to do it. So actually download version 2.39.9, and then actually, it looks the same once it's running, but it's actually being saved on your computer. And that, I've had students lose a lot of work that way because they didn't realize it. So just FYI, do that. Oh, cool, they have a Discord. I didn't know that. I'll join their Discord later. Do they have, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll join it now. Yay. I'll just look around for now. Cool. I'll check into that later. Okay, good. So, and also like you're seeing with the Discord community, there is a lot of people doing things with Twine, and so if I can't help you, I could probably find someone who can help you, or you can. Like there's different people that you can reach out to, and I'm sure find some help from. Okay, cool. So that's the general advice I have. That's the end of the general advice I have for today. The rest of the time you can use to complete those peer reviews of each other's projects, or give each other feedback about it informally in Discord, or just ask people, ask each other questions about it. Make sure you are connecting to your channel, by the way, in your squads. If there's someone you haven't heard from in a while, then you can direct message them or email even if you know their email, just to kind of see how they're doing and see what's going on if they haven't been checking in. I know of some people who are kind of working their way back in, and that's great. But there's some people I'm still trying to get in touch with. So please help me, I guess, reach out to them if you have not heard from someone recently. Okay, so I'm going to leave the stream running in case anyone has a question that I feel like needs to be answered here. Otherwise, I will be kind of chatting with some people face to face. So yeah, if you're watching the stream, then go ahead and give each other that feedback. And if you do have a question, let me know in the Discord, and I will see that eventually. But I'm going to turn my microphone off while I chat with some people here, and I'll turn the music back on for you all. All right. Okay, so I don't know if anyone's still watching. Oh, here I am. I don't know if anyone's still watching the stream, but if you are, I'm going to wrap it up. And actually, maybe check Discord. Okay, yeah, there aren't any unanswered questions in the Discord channel, so hopefully everyone's good. I was able to give some people here face-to-face some feedback on their projects, so if you're a online-only person and you want that kind of conversation about your work, a longer conversation than what we did the other day in the elevator talks, then definitely feel free to set an appointment with me. Use my website, zachwayland.net/contact, and you can reserve some time to have a longer conversation about your projects. I will probably seek that out for some of you just because there's some complicated issues with yours that I want to make sure you're aware of, and so I may initiate that. But feel free to initiate that yourself if you already have some questions. So, is this microphone on? Yeah, okay, good. That's just double checking. I guess the music's playing in the background, but that's all right. What you can see here on the screen, by the way, just in case anyone's watching, this is an example of a Twine game that's using variables to track things. This is Depression Quest by Zoe Quinn. And what she's created is a work that makes different options available or not available based on prior choices you've made. So it's a pretty interesting way of using, showing consequences of choices. Anyway, so if you're interested in Twine games, there's lots you can learn about it and discover as you make your work. So let me know if you have questions. All right, well, we will continue looking at your projects and thinking about them on Friday. So if you have not done yours yet, please try to get it done as soon as possible and try to get your peer reviews done by Friday if you have them to do, if they show up for you in Canvas. So I will wrap up the stream now that everybody just left, and I'll see you later. Bye.